In this video, I finished making the spinner for the propeller and restore the prop access cover. The spinner was put into the chuck and centered using our dial test indicator, and then the angles were cut as planned out on a piece of paper. So here it is with its basic taper. The flat end that was on has been removed, and the groove there is to set up for where the screw height should be. Here's the sort of next cut, and we're slowly building up. You can see the shape coming together slowly as we go. There are some sort of edges as it goes, the steps, but they'll be cleaned up later. There we go, final cut. I'm going to smooth out some hard points because I just did it as sort of flat angles, as you saw from the drawing. So I'm just going to smooth that lot out and deburr these edges here where the screws go, and then we'll be putting it onto the prop hub so I can work out exactly how much I've got to take off the two cheeks to allow the propeller to go to its full forward pitch as it slides back over the tops of the cheeks. So I've got to cut the cheeks, and then after all that we've just got to cut off that little stub there, and that will be effectively this completed. So there we have it. This has just been sanded down using a slightly flexible board, starting off at 180 grit, 400, and now this is the final sort of section of it at 600 grit, and it'll get a polish at the end after we've finished all the work on it. Hopefully it won't look too bad, but at the moment quite pleased with the shape. Let's hope it fits, and I can mark up the cheeks. So there it is, screwed into position at the moment. Looks reasonably good. I'm quite happy with that. Just going to take these cheeks out here so that the propeller can actually go to its full course sort of position. I can't move at the moment because of the piece inside, but these parts of the propeller actually come across, so we're going to have to take out that area on both sides to be able to allow that to happen. So of course we're going to go back to that lovely favourite blue substance, Engineer's Blue, and ink up those areas, mark it up, and then set it all up in the vise and cut it. So here I have, I've got this, got it set up in the vise. I've done some marks on here so I know where I need to keep it to the left of, so I don't cut too much off, and I can just start cutting the cheeks off. That's got the majority of the metal off there. I'll now set this up, and for that side I can turn it and we'll start to file it. Putting the bottom one in, but we don't need to, but might as well. So that's one in.
slight little bit more just needs to come off that corner there. So probably about 5,000. And in fact, with the amount of play in the prop and things like that, probably wouldn't actually make any difference. But I'll get that bit fettled and then onto the other side. So now we've got both cheeks sorted out there. We can go to the next stage, which is to cut this beastie off here and polish it up and stick it on. So here we have it. The spigot has been taken off, so that's now the stop for the propeller. The cheeks have been done and it's had a light polish. It's not highly polished, it's lightly polished just so I could see if there's any great imperfections and things like that. But more importantly, this is going into a marine environment, so by reducing the surface area, by making it smoother, it'll corrode a little slower, one would hope. So let's put it on and see what it looks like fitted. Just double checking. Yeah. Should be so tight. That's it tight, so the propeller should, yes, it goes to full pitch and it rides over, which is perfect. There we go. Full pitch. Excellent. That doesn't look too ugly either. There we go. So that's that job done and dusted. On to the next.
There you go, that's the finished spinner. The amount of waste, brass costs a fortune, so this is like powdered gold almost. So the prop access panel. Here we have a couple of photos showing the state at the start. You can sort of see it's quite badly corroded. There's some red and white lead on it, and I need to do quite a chunk of work with a wire brush on my bench grinder to get rid of the surface stuff. And you've got to be very, very careful with it, because of course this paint is old and it contains lead, so you could end up with lead poisoning. But after I removed the majority of it, it didn't look too bad.
So here is the cover for the propeller access, masked up, ready for me to start applying resin, hopefully to help reconstitute the plywood, give it a bit more strength and to make it waterproof. Obviously water is spraying up on this all the time. Once that's finished, I'll need to do some painting on it. The actual frame here should be red leaded. And then hopefully the two bits should marry up on the hull. I've got a repair to do on the retaining frame. It's missing a stud. I should go through just there. Apart from that, it's all good. I've got some wing nuts coming. They're BSF and this is, sorry, they're UNF and this is BSF. But it's the same pitch, it's 26 threads per inch. There's only a slight difference in angle, so what I'll do is I will run a BSF tap through the wing nuts so that they actually fit on the studs here. So here we are. I've sanded it down. It's got a little bit of some bumps and lumps in there. That's not too bad. It's a lot better. It's now safe and secure, and strong. I'm going to clean up the the brass facing here to get that back to raw metal, and then I will prime that through with red lead. So that's the next stage, and then from there I'll be removing, I'll end up red leading in here as well, and I'll polish up the perspex, and then this bit here will just get cleaned back to bare metal. Brass just as it probably was originally. There was no paint around any of the rivets, so I'm assuming it wasn't painted before, so I'll just take it back to bare brass. This is the cover as it is at the moment, red leaded back to what was showing on the paint, and the plexiglass section inside there I've been working on, trying to get it so you could actually see through it. It's not perfect, but hopefully you can sort of see, we can actually physically see through that. And to do that, just basically use some 2000 grit to sand the surface, which had got quite a rough sort of oxidized sort of surface on it. Then some micro mesh 12,000 grit to get a bit of a polish going on it. And then I used this 3M's product here, which is used for car paint, cutting back car paint. It's a bit sort of like a super teacup, one might say. I used that to get the final finish with a cloth, and you can sort of see it was still taking out a lot of dirt and bits going around the edge, but it's very slightly crazed. If I hold it in certain lights, you can sort of see it's got crazing in it, which probably won't show on the camera. But that section now is finished. I'm not polishing this any more than I've done at the moment. I've cleaned it up, but it would be a sort of shame really to sort of lose the patina that's there. And I don't think it would have been polished to a high standard. You can now see that it's actually got some ident numbers on it, and it's got an arrow put on there. It's a bit like a crow's foot, but I'm assuming that is the pointing forwards for when it fits in this tunnel section, which I'll show you some stills of what I've done to that to clean that up. But that fits together and then gives a reasonably flush base to it all. So the next bit that I'm going to be dealing with is I'm going to be dealing with the stud ring, which goes around creating a gasket for it. I'll show you the stud ring. Unfortunately, I forgot to turn the camera on when I was working on this. I've replaced this stud, it was missing. If you look at the photos of the before, that stud ring was missing, so I had to put a BSF stud into there, which has been hard soldered, silver soldered in. I didn't want to go to sort of brazing because that would have softened the ring too much around here, so I just silver soldered it in, and I've cleaned up all the areas. This was covered in red lead and white lead, and cleaned up the countersinks, so that is ready to go, and that fits around that and is screwed. I've got it the right way around. There we go. That's, you know, so this whole thing screws through a section of the top of the propeller tunnel, and this is what actually holds that cover down when it's on. So I just need to create a gasket for that, and we'll be ready to go.
So here I am cutting or marking up the rubber. This is a single ply reinforced rubber which is being used as a gasket. So moments like this I realise how ambidextrous I actually am when I'm doing cutting work. It's about 2.5mm thick rubber, and I'm just using a surgical scalpel and steel rule there to cut through, putting it all into position so I can mark up using tyre paint to actually mark where the holes are going to go, and then punching the holes through where they're marked to produce the gasket. I had to do this for the stern tube gasket as well.
There we go, one gasket created using Old Faithful. This tool is older than I am, made in the 1950s, and has had a bit of a hard time, but it still works remarkably well. Propeller spinner sorted out, prop all dealt with, stern tube assembly repaired and fixed, the propeller pitch selector dealt with all its replacement components cleaned up, bearing sorted out there for the support, gasket which fits underneath that, it goes onto the hull, so that fits underneath there for the hull, and the cover plate here with its gasket and everything sorted out, which would sit, I suppose, about there on the boat, so that you could actually look down and see the propeller spinning around and if it's got clogged. So that concludes part 3.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe or even hit the little bell notification for future videos. Any comments would be appreciated, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, go fly and feel the sky.